Hey guys, it's Husky here. Welcome to another video. My last video I tried recording this video earlier, but it ended up getting corrupted, so I have to do it again. But either way, I think either way, it's okay. I will probably keep it a little bit shorter this time, just because the first time it did go over, I think, 30 minutes. So we're gonna try and keep it a little bit shorter this time. And I think today it's time to talk about grinding. As you know, Wizard101 tends to have a lot of, grinding to it. When it terms about getting the right pet, a certain piece of gear that you want, maybe there's, or maybe you're just trying to find a piece of gear that you want to stitch with, but it's only dropped by bosses. Well, we know the pains of it. We don't like it sometimes, we don't want to do it sometimes, but in the end, we will have to grind. But, well, how can we grind the bosses, but still enjoy the game? Can you actually do that? Is that possible? Is that physically possible? No, of course not. There's no way that's possible, because there's no reason that it should be possible. And obviously that was sarcastic. I don't literally think like that. But I know sometimes it does feel disheartening after multiple runs that you just didn't get that drop. Or you think, oh, just one more run, I can get it. But then you realize that you almost spent a good few hours just grinding and you still haven't gotten what you wanted. Or you're trying to get a certain amount of couch potatoes or something for your gardens and you're just not getting it. Believe me, there are times where I've felt, man, I am getting so unlucky with these drops. Why am I not getting them? Or how many more times am I going to have to fight a certain boss before I'm going to get what I want? Now, it happens, and it truly does sometimes feel like it takes forever to grind. Especially if you're running solo. Solo grinding sometimes is just annoying to do, especially at the earlier levels when you might not have the same amount of damage or gear as some others. It sometimes just feels like you're getting nowhere when you're trying to grind for certain pieces of gear. Believe me, I've felt that multiple times, many times, throughout my almost 15 years of playing the game. It does take its toll. And sometimes it's because of how much you've needed to grind that you feel like you just feel burnt out. You just don't feel like playing the game as much anymore. Now, believe me, I definitely wish that it would be better. Sometimes I do wish that it was easier to grind certain pieces of gear, or the drop rates would be higher, but, if everything was given to you on a silver platter, what's the point of actually playing the game when you could just, why spend a lot of time just grinding the game when, you could just just level up to level, just max out your character, and then just at level 170, just buy a whole bunch of crowns with money, and just, there you go. Pay to win. Just pay to win the entire thing. And yes, obviously, yes, that's a way you could play the game, but, maintenance. Oh, yes, and if you're wondering, I do record these a little, but yeah, it's just one of those things, right? Truly, to be honest with you, obviously being full on pay to win, yes, you can pay to win, but is it, I know a lot of people don't like grinding games. When a game gets too grindy, it feels very annoying to do. Trust me, I've been there. When a game feels too grindy, you sort of lose interest. Sometimes. Definitely happened to me once. But, sometimes you just need to go into a game with maybe a different, view on it. Because, there are certain people in the game that just don't farm. They don't have the resources they need to grind these big bosses, and they just keep going through the game at their own pace, and sometimes they get through just fine. Sometimes you may need to drag them along a little bit, teach them a little bit about, certain aspects of the game, but usually, if they understand and grasp the concept, they don't need to grind. But in the end, it's still the grinding that helps you get through some of these harder bosses and such. And in the video, since I did do this video once, and it got corrupted, so I had to make it again, obviously, that's the one cool thing about it, is the fact that, and I use this example as sort of an interesting, as it's a very interesting tidbit that, it's a very interesting tidbit in terms of the context. And the context is the fact that, you go through multiple worlds with a certain grinded gear set, if you think about it. The first real actual grinded gear set is going to be your level 30 Mount Olympus gear. And let's think about how far that takes you. You get it, near the end of Marleybone, so Marleybone, Mushu, Dragonspire, Grizzleheim, if you do Grizzleheim, and part of Celestia. That's almost 5 worlds done with Zeus gear. So then the next gear set is going to be, and Wisteria. So 5 to 6 worlds done with the Zeus gear. Not bad. Now let's move on to the Waterworks gear. Okay. So let's say that you also, you got it before you did Celestia. So Celestia, well, you can get the Waterworks if you before Celestia, but you can also get it after. Or during Celestia. So, part of Celestia, Zafaria, Avalon, Azteca, part of Chrysalis. Once again, that's about 4 to 5 worlds. Which is really actually pretty cool. And then, of course, you have the other one, and one of the more, one of the notable ones that I like to think about is, of course, the Darkmoor gear. Think about it, the Darkmoor gear, and how long you use that, And the more you think about it, and the more I think about it, people skip the catacombs nowadays because of how overly grindy it is to get that gear, so you usually skip over it. So, let's count where the Darkmoor gear carries you in. Okay, let's start counting some of the stuff. Alright, so, usually you do the second part of Chrysalis with it. So, Chrysalis, Polaris, Mirage, Imperia 1 and 2, Caramel. That is, once again, 5 worlds that you can grind, you can go through with just the Darkmoor gear alone. That's pretty cool, the best in slot gears that you find carry you through 4 to 5 worlds each, which is very, very cool. Because by the time, you know, and then of course you get to like Lemuria, Novus, and Wallaroo and Solanopolis, they all have their respective gear sets that you get every 10 levels, which slowly progresses and gets a little bit of extra damage to them, making you a very formidable foe later down the line, which is absolutely spectacular when you think about it and put it into context. You know, in terms of the Darkmoor gear, the Waterworks gear, and the Zeus gear, the stats that they give are well worth grinding them for. And even the gear set at 170, 160, 170, those gear sets are very good to have and grind for. Mainly, I would grind for the Reaver set and or the new set from Selenopolis. I still don't know the name of that one, but you understand. You know. Because, but you think about it, and you get all of that stuff and all of these big accomplishments because you grind. You grinded more stuff, it's because you grinded the Waterworks, Mount Olympus, Darkmoor, that you're able to deal great damage with your gear set. You're able to solo some bosses that might not have been able to solo before because you have that gear advantage. You're able to clear mobs faster, everything, in the end, really, to get the most amount of real, yes, people don't like grinding for stuff. Sometimes, you can just, sometimes paying to win and getting the best gear without needing to touch a single grinding area, yeah, that's cool and all, but it's not the most optimal because you're spending a lot of money. Whoa. Yeah, you're spending a lot of money with that. But, that's the one thing that I do like about the game is, yes, it can be grindy at times, but but the rewards that follow it are just absolutely amazing in terms of, what you get sometimes. And obviously sometimes, I think back to the wizards that came before my storm. Because I did, prior to making my storm, I had a tendency of deleting my high-level wizards and starting over. But that was before, like, spell limit, the whole, a whole bunch of changes in the game came. So, but I remember, even then, it was back to grinding this, back to grinding that, grind this boss again because I need to get the gear again, And that's just what happened, But every time I would grind back up, get that gear set, and keep going on. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, when you do, because there is a satisfaction in grinding the gear that you get from certain bosses and such. really, in the end of everything, it's, you know, I appreciate the game a lot. You know, and sometimes I do critique the game a little bit, and I talk about certain parts of the game that I wish, would fix, would change, but that's not because I dislike the game. It's because I want to see the game flourish and continue to be, fun for me. I want to see it also be fun for others, and, have a great community of people that also love to play the game, and obviously, a lot of people maybe don't like grinding the game that much, or they want to grind, but they just don't have that much time on their hands, and they can't really get that best gear for weeks or even months sometimes. Obviously, it's still, with all this time, would I, I've played the game through some great updates and some not so great updates. And, obviously we're going to have different thoughts about grinding on Wizard101. Grinding that gear set, grinding that spell element, grinding, this and that. But in the end, grinding all that gear gave you a big power spike in your damage. Grinding all those pet snacks, those seeds have given you a ton of pet snacks to make that ideal pet that you've always wanted to have. And it really, and it's those accomplishments that you get from getting that pet, getting that gear set. It's those accomplishments, it gives you that feeling of, hey, I did that. And I'm very happy that I finally did that, because now I have something to show for it. And, obviously sometimes you might not think the same way I do, and that's fine. We all have our different ways of, about playing the game, exploring the game. But it still comes down that we all enjoy the game and we all play the game. And we're bound to run into each other at some point. Maybe you wouldn't know, but, we cooperate and work together in the same capacity. So, either way, I think that's pretty much all I want to talk about on this topic. Let me know your thoughts about this topic in the comments section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Check out my Twitter, check out my Twitch, and join the Discord server if you want to keep communicating with me. And, be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content, because it's your interactions that help me want to keep on making these videos. And, obviously stay tuned, because I do make daily Wizard101 content, and maybe soon it'll also be just daily content in general. It might not be Wizard101, it might be some other games, but either way, hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.